remarks. And then for the speeches, we will have Tiago, Jimmy, and Kemily, and a Q&A session by the end of the webinar. And for all the questions, if the question is not like directly asked for like someone, I would text you guys in private to see if you're okay to answer such a question or not, so we can see the best person to answer. We have a mixed audience. We are expecting between 30 to 35 people today here. And is it okay to share the presentation with the audience after the webinar, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do you want us maybe to exit and then join again for the screen sharing to work, or?
No, actually, Zlata, she's in here as well. I already text her to enable you guys. It should be simple, but give me just like a minute. Aqui, libera o pessoal aí para compartilhar a tela.
Deixa eu liberar, peraí que eu tô só rolando o negócio aqui. Já passar o link.
Ah, vai? Depois você manda o link, por favor. Tá, valeu. Okay, she's doing that, and she just reminded that we will have this live on YouTube as well. Didn't know that, but we're gonna be live on there.
Cool.
And I'll text you guys with the link of like for the audience, so it's easier to share with anyone that you want.
Oh, now it's working.
Okay, perfect.
You see it? Jimmy, I'll be very brief, okay? I just selected 4 slides about Invest Hong Kong's role. I'll be detailing how we assist them, how we work into divided into sectors, some recently completed projects from Brazil, and our international footprint. And after that, I'll leave it to you, okay? Just, you know, to show my face and people to know that we have a local presence here in Brazil.
Of course.
But the true content, I think it's already covered in your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, your face is more important than my face.
No, never.
you need to be recognized by the audience.
So,
not me.
I'll just stop by now. It's working fine, Arthur.
Can I try now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see.
And yeah, perfect.
Seems working okay, right?
Yes.
From your perspective?
Yes.
Okay.
Kemily, you want to try yours, or it's okay?
Sorry, it was muted.
No
So
problem.
yeah, it's okay, it's working.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Excuse me for a second, maybe.
Actor, do you think it's okay to leave the camera closed during others' presentation?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Okay.
Alpha, are there now gradually Brazilian companies making their way, to China now, despite of the COVID and despite of the traveling restriction or inconvenience?
So far, like only like companies that have like base, like office in China, but for delegation and trade fairs, all the work is doing like in a remote way, like a online way. But I guess for delegations, it's only it will start next year, like January maybe. But so far, only employees or like families they're being like able to go back, but still very struggling in getting the visa. It's still like a bit hard. We need special invitations from like local authorities, so it's a quite complex process.
Yes, that's like I'm now helping a couple of Brazilian clients in Shenzhen. Their staff like Positivo, they cannot travel to Shenzhen. We help them to go to the various government department every month, and look after their administration for them, in Shenzhen. So their staff, they can't travel, to Shenzhen right now, So not easy, So maybe you can promote your service, like this kind of service for your chamber, that if some of your members, they have already presence in China, you can help them to look after their work, and also through or Invest Hong Kong got several offices in China. Of course, I have, that Invest Hong Kong got office in Guangzhou, in Shanghai, in Beijing, and also in two other cities. One
Chengdu
is in Chengdu, right?
and
Yeah,
Wuhan.
yeah. Yeah. You should talk to Tiago a little bit more. I think we can form really a very strong, what I call integral partnership. That's the way
Yes.
now, really. Really.
Yes. And also like we got some news through like the Brazil China Forum yesterday that from like September 28th, like all the foreign nationals holding valid Chinese resident permits for work are allowed to enter China. So I guess slowly China is opening up again.
Oh yes. I think you will receive my China update very soon. From Delilah. So,
Okay, perfect.
so this news will be in her China update.
Great.
Yeah. So if you have well, since now I'm your rep, and I'm also the Invest Hong Kong ambassador, promotion ambassador. If you have programs, you just share with Tiago. What is your program? Next year. And if anything fits in their schedule, then they join. If not, then up to them.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Because I know I've known Jimmy for many years already. We are not just what we call colleagues, all right, but we are very good friends, So by helping one another in this difficult period, is very essential.
Yes, yes, indeed. I guess we all have to combine our efforts because our goal is the same.
Yeah.
To promote business and these relationships.
How many related Brazil-China chamber now in Brazil? I guess you guys are the only one, or China related?
Yeah, that's a quite tricky question, I guess. With office in China, we're the only one that I know for these 4 years that I'm in China. But in Brazil, we have two main chambers doing this job. One chamber from Rio, and us like really promote business. But it's quite hard because in Brazil, it's common to have more than one chamber per country. So it's the same for India, it's the same for US and for other countries.
So it doesn't matter. You have two related chambers in Brazil. One is in Rio. Now is one in Sao Paulo. Yours is in Sao Paulo. The one in Rio, I guess they are promoting the beaches, more than business. They are promoting sunshine. So they are not your competitor. So. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Exactly.
Right, Tiago, right? Tiago.
Sorry, guys. I was just coming back to the room. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. No, just I was chatting with Arthur. As he said that there are two similar chambers like this. Like doing China-related work. One is in Sao Paulo, one in Rio. I said the Rio is not your competitor. Rio is promoting sunshine and beaches, and yours is really promoting business.
I know them well. Them all well, but
you know them well.
As Arthur, I heard Arthur saying, CCB is the only one with presence in China. So, and this is very, very important. So that's why they've been growing and being companies are seeking them support that strongly because of this presence. Right, Arthur?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. Daniel, the president is here. Daniel, you want to introduce yourself to the assistant director of Invest Hong Kong, Jimmy? Jimmy is on the screen now. Jimmy is my very good friend, Daniel.
Yes, I know Jimmy
I
very well.
I know Daniel.
Small world, small world.
Hello,
Yeah.
Daniel. How are you doing?
Hi, Jimmy. I'm fine, and you?
Long time no see. I'm okay.
Yes.
Surviving.
We had the opportunity to be together. I believe it was in October in Hong Kong.
And also in Belo Horizonte 2 years ago.
Yes.
Time flies.
Time flies.
Yes,
Small world.
You doing fine?
Yes, I'm fine. And you?
Yeah, I'm fine despite all the challenges we are facing.
Yes.
We still need to keep on going, fighting the battle, working hard.
Many
even
battles.
Harder.
Yeah.
on too many fronts.
Yes.
So guys, it's like 9:01 now. We will open for the audience in 1 minute. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Lara just opened the link. So good morning and good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you all very much for joining our webinar today. It's a pleasure to have you all here. We'll just wait a little bit so everyone can join the Zoom link and settle down. Just a few instructions first, I will repeat later on, but all the presentations that we will share here today, we will send for everyone by email after the webinar. And for any questions or doubts you have throughout the webinar, feel free to use the Zoom chat to ask the questions and to ask for a specific topic or to some of the speakers. So now I guess more people are joining. So I guess we can start. Initially, I'd like to say thank you for everyone that joined us here. I would like to welcome our speakers and congratulate the teams and the companies for supporting this webinar. So just a quick hello for everyone. So first, hello, Thomas Wong, partner at CW. Good evening, Thomas.
Good evening, good morning.
Good evening, Jimmy Chang, Associate Director General of Invest Promotion at Invest Hong Kong. Hello, Jimmy.
Hello, good morning to you all.
Good morning, Tiago Silveira, Principal Consultant at Invest Hong Kong.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Daniel Manucci, President of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Brazil. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, everyone.
And good morning, Camila Vera, Business Advisor at CWCPA. Hello, Camille.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening.
And for the people who don't know me yet, Arthur, I'm the manager of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Brazil in China. I live in Shanghai. I have over 4 years living in China already, and currently in Brazil due to the pandemic. But basically my daily routine is to connect Brazil and China and Hong Kong, of course, through import, export, investment, business trips, and so on. So it's a pleasure to moderate this webinar with such an interesting and important topic. And just to make sure that it's clear for everyone, so all the presentations we will share here today, we will send by email to everyone after the webinar. And for any questions you may have during our event, please feel free to ask by the Zoom chat or ask directly for one of the speakers in the chat as well. So for the opening speech, we'd like to invite Mr. Daniel Manucci. He's the president of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Brazil. So hello, Daniel, please welcome and glad to have you here.
Well, good morning or good evening, everyone, since we have people from all parts of the world, I believe. And welcome to today's webinar hosted by the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, CWCPA, and Invest Hong Kong. Our invited speakers, Jimmy, Thiago, Thomas, and Camille, will talk about how we use in Hong Kong to strategize your digitalization process. Well, my name is Daniel Manucci. As Artur said, I'm the president of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce. We have branches in Shanghai, now in Hong Kong, and also in São Paulo and Belo Horizonte in Brazil. Well, we would like to take this opportunity to announce the opening of our new branch office in Hong Kong, and in partnership with CWCPA and our newest director and representative person in Hong Kong, Mr. Thomas Wong. Thomas became a friend and has been a great partner of the Chinese Chamber for a very long time. I think I met Thomas first time 10 years ago. And you're quite old now, Thomas. Sorry, 10 years, my friend.
60 years old this year. Just landed.
Well, Thomas always supported our activities in Hong Kong. Thomas is a fighter, and I'm sure that he will develop a fantastic work as the representative person of our chamber in Hong Kong. Well, just a short introduction about Thomas. Mr. Thomas Wang is the founding partner of CWCPA, an international mid-sized professional accountant and advisor firm based in Hong Kong. In line with his devotion to the promotion of trade with China and Hong Kong, Thomas established a Latin American and Spanish business advisory unit back in 2006, which has now fully developed into the Latin America department, and his firm exclusively serving the Spanish and Portuguese speaking clients. Well, good luck, Thomas. And now, Arthur, please go ahead.
So okay. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Good morning or good evening to all the friends in Brazil. Yes, my name is Thomas Wong. I am, Daniel said that I'm a little bit old now, you know. Yes, I'm 60 years old this year, but I'm still a fighter. I'm still a runner. I run every morning. And I remember when I was in Sao Paulo 10 years ago, you know, I run every morning in Sao Paulo, you know, in the park, you know. So that was a long time ago, I remember. So that brought me, you know, some vivid memory about Sao Paulo. But well, before I really start, you know, I'd like to talk a little bit about Brazil. When I was a child, you know, I liked Brazil a lot, not because of its country, of the country itself. I came to know Brazil is because of the football. And the football star I like is not Pelé. The football star I like is older generation would know is Rivellino. All right, Rivellino, the Brazilian football star that used left foot, you know, to play football, left wing, you know, in the national team. Because when I was young, I also played football. I used my left leg. I was a left wing. So anyway, without going into football, I would like to talk about a little bit introduction about, you know, today's film is called How Using Hong Kong to Strategize Your Digitalization Process. Now, Hong Kong definitely is a financial center. Hong Kong definitely is a hub, you know, for IT. Hong Kong is definitely now a hub, you know, for drawing capital, for luring a lot of big IT companies from China to come to Hong Kong to get listed, including Tencent, Alibaba, JD.com. They are all here in Hong Kong. And, you know, these big boys, you know, from mainland China, these big IT companies in mainland China, they always talking about, you know, digitalization, about e-commerce, about many things, about IT. So why, you know, Brazilian companies should come to Hong Kong before entering into the Chinese market? Basically because, you know, Hong Kong, I think afterwards, my colleague, you know, Jimmy, the assistant director, associate director of Invest Hong Kong, will talk about the strength of Hong Kong. So Hong Kong still has its spark, still has its, you know, attraction. And I remember last month there were about 4 Brazilian startups that I took them, you know, to the science park in Hong Kong. Now, so a very warm welcome to all of you, to the participants who joined this webinar today. And yes, now I'm the representative of the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. So any Brazilian companies that want to come to Hong Kong through the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce, you know, you have a rep in Hong Kong. And this is Thomas Wong. And I'm very closely connected to Invest Hong Kong because I'm also the ambassador, promotion ambassador of Invest Hong Kong. So, of course, I'm very excited, you know, to talk to so many Brazil businessmen today through this webinar, you know. And Brazil is very well known, of course, in technology, in the startup community, especially that I have been encountering, you know, in recent months. So I would like to use this opportunity, of course, you know, to thank Invest Hong Kong and Jimmy Chang, the Associate Director of Invest Hong Kong, for giving me this chance, to co-organize this webinar together with them and give me this chance, to talk with them, on this online platform. To start off with, let me briefly introduce a little bit about myself. I'm one of the two partners of CWCPA, an international professional advisory and CPA firm established in Hong Kong. Our global reach spans across different continents with offices strategically located in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Shanghai, in the mainland China. And of course, I have also an office in Barcelona, small office in London, and also one office in Bogota, not yet in Sao Paulo. But of course, I would treat, the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce as my office in Sao Paulo. So without paying rental, so with our firm's prestigious reputation in the accounting industry and our extensive network around the globe, we have been dedicated to serving as a professional super advocate in promoting the trade and investment between China through Hong Kong and overseas countries, especially in the Latin America, including Brazil market. In order to expand our international presence, we CWCPA has recently joined Alineo Global, the #2 worldwide accounting firm association of legally independent accounting and consulting firms with offices throughout the world. Now, this Alineo Global Accounting Association, second in the world right now, has 235 member firms over the world, including also some in Brazil. So in the past years, my team of experts have helped hundreds of Latin American companies to expand their business to Hong Kong and subsequently to mainland China, including Positivo, including Imaginarium, including Clean, including many Brazilian companies that I have lost count. Maybe afterwards my colleague Camly Vera will tell you more Brazilian companies that I have helped in the recent few months because of her presence now in Brazil. So up till now, our Latin department, we are now helping over 200 Latin American clients, of which over 40 are from Brazil. So I just now, Daniel mentioned that I was recently appointed as the rep, in Hong Kong, as the rep of the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce. So I think this is also a milestone, for the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce, because in other words, they place very strong emphasis in Hong Kong too, even though they have an office in mainland China run by AFA. So anyway, I personally, I've known Daniel for over 10 years, and AFA, I've known him for a few years already. So I hope my partnership, with the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce will play an important role in days ahead. And today's webinar is not just to tell you how to digitalize, how to use Hong Kong, but I would like to tell all of you that, networking is very important in any kind of business. So this webinar provides a chance for all the businessmen who participate in this webinar to know important people like Tiago of Invest Hong Kong, like Jimmy Chang, the Associate Director of Invest Hong Kong. They can help you, in Hong Kong, apart from me, all right? So this is a very good chance, for all of you to do networking. And the questions that you will throw, to AFA a little bit later after, the webinar, would just only be what I call the start of your journey, to Hong Kong. The network is very, very important. So I would just like to add a few more points, is that Hong Kong, why Hong Kong is so important, because Hong Kong has a closer economic partnership agreement with China, and where, when every overseas companies, they want to step on mainland China, they use Hong Kong as a hub to go into China, because when they open a company in Hong Kong, since Hong Kong has signed a free trade agreement, closer economic partnership agreement with China, so they will enjoy zero tariff when they, ship their goods from Hong Kong to China. So the details, I think Jimmy and Tiago can explain to all of you in future. So without further ado, I think I have done my part already. I don't want to go into too much detail. So now I pass back the time back to the host, Arthur. Abdul.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Daniel and Thomas, for opening up our event. It's for sure a big step for the Chamber presence in Hong Kong to have Thomas as our new representative. And we do hope to develop like more and more business and keep engaging in showing like the strengths of Hong Kong, and for sure work together with Invest Hong Kong in this expansion. And I guess I believe that all our goals are similar, so we do need to work together and be united. So now, as our first speaker of our webinar, I'd like to invite Tiago Silveira. Tiago Silveira is the head of Invest Hong Kong in Brazil since 2016. He holds a degree in economics from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro and a master in business administration from the University in Rio as well, and IE Business School in Madrid. He has over 15 years of professional experience in the financial, marketing, strategy, and commercial areas of large companies such as Globopar, Oi, Monitor Group, and Rio Negócios. And at Invest Hong Kong, he's responsible for connecting Brazilian companies to Hong Kong, supporting the process to go international, and from the design phase to the execution, through customized and confidential consultancy service. Tiago is also fluent in English, French, and Spanish. So very welcome, Tiago. Good morning.
Thank you, Arthur, for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to join such a great panel of friends here. I would like to especially congratulate Daniel and Thomas on this achievement of having the Chinese Chamber now an office in Hong Kong. I think it's a milestone. For me specifically, I've been traveling to Hong Kong yearly since I was appointed here in 2016. And I always joke with my friends that I always see the other Latin Americans like Mexicans or Chileans or even Colombians so well organized and well structured in Hong Kong. And I always came back to Brazil and say, guys, we must do the same. We must have a good investment structure there to support Brazilian companies, apart, of course, from Invest Hong Kong. And one day, talking with Daniel about it, I think Daniel bought the idea and saw the opportunity, and together with Thomas, they designed this office and this rep office that is being inaugurated this month. So congratulations for you. I think again it's a milestone for us, and it's very good to partner and to be together with you in this kickoff. I'll be very brief, Arthur, in my presentation today. My objective here is just to show my face and to tell all the Brazilians that are listening to us right now that Tiago, I'm the person in the ground in Rio de Janeiro, where our office is located, to assist Brazilian companies that are willing to understand more about Hong Kong and how to conduct their internationalization processes. So I just collected a few slides that I will share in my screen now here, just to tell our audience how is Invest Hong Kong organized to facilitate Brazilian investments in Asia. So what is our role? The Invest Hong Kong's role is to help companies establish and grow in Hong Kong through all those four big steps. So we assist companies from the planning phase, going through the setup phase, which is critical, the launch, and the expansion. In each of these stages of designing of internationalization strategy, you can rely on Invest Hong Kong's support. So detailing this a little bit more, this process a little bit more. So a company that is planning to internationalize or has, I don't know, received an invitation from a client, a partner, or participated in a trade fair and has the the sense that having a presence in Hong Kong would be important for their business, but don't have a clue on where to start gathering information about the market or about the costs or about how it is to work in Hong Kong, to live in Hong Kong. So for this planning phase, Invest Hong Kong can act as a true information powerhouse, sharing detailed inputs for companies to design their business plan. After this planning phase is completed and companies return to us saying, Thiago, Hong Kong makes sense, we've approved in our board or our internationalization strategy has received go ahead. Now I need to set up my business. How do I do it? How do I start from scratch, right? Do I have to have visas to expatriate my executives? How do I register my IP? How much will I have to pay in terms of taxes? Which business regulations should I comply? Who should I hire, for example, to run my business there? What are the main business associations? So every building block, which is crucial and necessary for the setup phase, Invest Hong Kong can really help you to facilitating this information to get closer to you. Once the setup is concluded, then comes the launch, which is the business opening its doors. So it is crucial again to connect those companies that are arriving in Hong Kong with lawyers, accountants, human resources specialists, consultants, designs, etc. All types of local network that is relevant for a company to really launch their business there. And this is the kind of service that Invest Hong Kong also support. And finally, expansion, because once the company is there, they will explore the phenomenal potential of the not only Hong Kong but the whole Asian market, and for sure that the business will expand to other lines of business, to other business niches and segments. And the idea is that the relationship with Invest Hong Kong is ongoing, right? It never, as Thomas said, it's a networking opportunity that never ends, and we are here to support also the expansion projects of companies that we assist. How do we do this? So in Invest Hong Kong, we are organized in a matrix, right? So in one axis of this matrix, we have some sector-specific teams, which are mainly all based in Hong Kong, and we divide them in three groups. Pillar industries, which are the industries where Hong Kong has its a legacy, economic development opportunities like professional services, financial services, and transport and industrial. Another pillar, another chapter, which is the whole innovation and technology industries, which is has been growing very fast in Hong Kong, not only for example, fintech, which is very much related to financial services, but the whole AI and other verticals like edutech. We have specific teams to take care of projects inside Invest Hong Kong. And another chapter is that lifestyle and creative, which encompasses the whole consumer products, tourism and hospitality, and creative industries. So I was mentioning in the beginning about the matrix, and the other axis of the matrix is the geography. So I'm based in Brazil. So when a Brazilian company like you guys that are watching this webinar approaches us and says, Thiago, I have a consumer products company that I would like to internationalize to Hong Kong. So we work in forehand. So Brazil as a geography, consumer products as a vertical, and then we work this project from the planning phase until the setup phase, as we've explained before. So this is just a few logos of recently completed projects from Brazil. We are happy to have worked with big companies like Bradesco and Alpargatas, which Jimmy will detail a little bit further there, business case in Hong Kong, which is very much related to the digitization of the Havaianas business. But other size of companies, small, medium, we don't discriminate, and we don't select the companies that we support by company size. This is very, very important. We can work with Bradesco, and we can work with a startup in the same way, okay? And as I was mentioning about our geographic footprint, Invest Hong Kong has a very much broad presence all over the world. So our office here in Rio covers the Brazilian territory. But as you can see in the Americas, we have also offices in Santiago, who take care of the whole Latin America, South America, less Brazil, Mexico City that covers Mexico and Caribbean, 2 big offices in the US, East Coast and West Coast, San Fran and New York, and 1 office in Toronto, and then Europe, Middle East, mainland China, and Asia. So it's a very broad network, and usually we complete something around 500 investment projects per year from those offices in Hong Kong, which is an amazing number in my view, because as we must all remember, Hong Kong is a city with some more than 7.5 million inhabitants, that year by year Invest Hong Kong helps to add foreign direct investments from this location all over the world. So of course that our role here is very much concentrated in Brazil, and I'll leave in the next slide my contacts, my WhatsApp, my WeChat, and of course all the social networks where Invest Hong Kong is also present for you to get in touch, you Brazilian companies that are planning to start this adventure into thinking about how to open a business in Asia. Please get in touch with us, that we are able to help. Now I'll go back to Arthur, thanking for my participation here, and I'll be open for questions in the end.
Great. Thank you very much, Thiago, for the speech. Great insights on how Invest Hong Kong develop its work and assistance for the overseas companies planning to expand to Hong Kong. And plus, I guess, for any country, going hand by hand with the local government is one of the best ways to achieve the best results, right? And also a quick reminder, everyone, we are also live on YouTube, so feel free to share this webinar with other people later on, and we will share the video on YouTube later on. Now we'd like to invite Dr. Jimmy Chang for the second speech of our webinar. Dr. Jimmy Chang is Associate Director General of Invest Hong Kong. He joined Invest Hong Kong in 2003 and was promoted to Head of Tourism and Hospitality in 2010. He took up the Associate Director General position in April 2015, in which he oversees the department's investment promotion strategies in areas such as creative industries, consumer products, transport and industrial, tourism and hospitality, and business and professional service. And prior to joining Invest Hong Kong, Dr. Chang worked with a Hong Kong-based multinational transportation company in a number of different managerial roles for 5 years. Jimmy has a doctorate in hotel and tourism management at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. He also has a master's degree in business administration from the University of British Columbia and a bachelor degrees in social science from the University of Hong Kong. So very welcome, Jimmy, very nice to have you here, and good evening for you there in Hong Kong.
Thank you, Arthur, for your very kind introduction. Hello again, everyone. It's a great pleasure to co-organize this webinar with the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Brazil and also CWCPA. I would just like to express my heartiest thanks once again for our strategic partners for the wonderful support. I'm certainly very excited to speak to the Brazilian business community again about Hong Kong, this time focusing more on digitalization, which is becoming truly a global phenomenon. In the next 10 minutes or so, I would like to first of all give you an update about the latest economic situation in Hong Kong, and then talk a bit about some new business opportunities arising from digitization that we are seeing in Hong Kong right now. Well, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, our economy is being hard hit. Our GDP dropped 9% in the first 2 quarters this year, and the government is now forecasting for the whole year, the economy will contract somewhere between 6% and 8%, meaning that we are cautiously optimistic that there will be some improvements in the last 2 quarters. Other economic indicators, unemployment rate is standing at 6.1% right now, while inflation rate was 2.9% in Q1 and also 1.8% in Q2 as compared with the same period last year. Just give me a second. I'm facing some technical issue with my computer here. Sorry about that. Obviously, it's a very challenging time for Hong Kong and indeed for the whole world, especially for our transport, retail, tourism, and hospitality sectors. COVID-19 started in Hong Kong in January this year, but between February and April, the government actually responded quite quickly by allocating 37 billion US dollars, that's like 10% of our GDP, on various stimulus packages in order to support our economy. And these relief measures can be broadly divided into 3 categories. Number 1, cash subsidies directly given to companies and people operating in the most affected sectors. Number 2, measures to ease cash flow problems. A good example is that the government introduced a business loan scheme with fairly low interest rate and also, more importantly, 100% government guarantee. And number 3, it's the employment support scheme, which provides wage subsidies to employers. And in return, employers undertake not to lay off their staff. So far, most companies in Hong Kong have found these support measures quite helpful. And of course, the pandemic has accelerated the process of digital transformation in various countries and across different sectors. And I just want to share some relevant observations in Hong Kong with the audience. First of all, the pandemic has fueled the development of our e-commerce. In the past, people might think Hong Kong was kind of lagging behind in e-commerce because Hong Kong is not a big territory and it's so convenient to shop everywhere in the city, basically. But this has changed drastically, especially over the last year. And even though there hasn't really been a complete lockdown in Hong Kong, people are still free to go out and shop, but people are buying a lot more online nowadays, especially grocery and other daily necessities. And it's interesting to note that the stock price of Hong Kong TV Mall, a major e-commerce platform in Hong Kong, has gone up more than 200% year to date. And another important point to note here is that e-commerce platforms based in Hong Kong can serve both Hong Kong and mainland China. And indeed, mainland Chinese consumers are buying more and more from Hong Kong through cross-border e-commerce over the last few years. And of course, as my colleague Thiago just mentioned, we have a great Brazilian example to showcase here. Havaianas in Hong Kong, the company distributes their products through their e-shop, as well as through physical stores such as department stores, sportswear stores, and their own pop-up stores in shopping malls, fully embracing the O2O strategy. And for Havaianas, Hong Kong is not just a place for sales, but also the regional headquarters for managing business operations in the whole Asia Pacific region. And because of our social distancing rules, restaurants in Hong Kong have been subject to certain dine-in restrictions in terms of maximum capacity and operating time. And this has resulted in more people ordering online for food delivery directly to their homes or to their offices. And in Hong Kong, Foodpanda and Deliveroo are the two most popular food delivery companies operating in the city. And they have obviously become the beneficiaries during the pandemic, with more and more restaurants being very eager to partner with them. On the other hand, we have also seen some traditional food distributors embracing new technologies and setting up their e-shops. And even some restaurant groups are also venturing into the online grocery market in order to increase their revenue streams, as fewer customers are now dining in restaurants. And of course, digitization is not restricted to sales of tangible products, but also facilitating the delivery of intangible services, consumer services like education and training, entertainment and media, banking and insurance, for example, can all be provided virtually. And we are seeing such virtual services growing very quickly in Hong Kong right now. For example, in our financial services sector, 8 virtual banks were granted licenses last year in order to promote financial inclusion. And as of today, 6 of these 8 virtual banks are already operational in the city. On the other hand, 4 virtual insurance companies are also operating in Hong Kong right now. So in addition to the B2C aspect at the business to business level, the B2B level, the increased reliance on online platforms for selling consumer goods and services is actually bringing a lot of new business opportunities for companies which provide services related to IT infrastructure, setting up e-platforms, and digital marketing like online advertising, search engine optimization, and so on. A case in point is a company called First Page, which was first set up by an Australian entrepreneur in Hong Kong back in year 2013. And since then has grown into a global digital marketing agency with offices in Australia, Dubai, Panama, and Southeast Asia. And good news for our brands in Hong Kong is that they can now apply for a government funding scheme called the Distance Business Program in order to adopt and acquire new technologies for developing remote business. And under this program, each company can obtain a total funding support of close to 40,000 US dollars. And many brands are utilizing this scheme to enhance their digital marketing in order to be more competitive, and therefore also bringing more business opportunities to companies like First Page. And a lot of digital transformation is also happening in the business and professional services sector. Just 2 months ago, we published a new promotional booklet featuring a number of interesting professional service firms based in Hong Kong, covering big, medium, and small players. And the booklet discusses how these companies are embracing and leveraging new technologies to stay ahead of the game. And if you're interested, please take a look at our website for more details. So to conclude, a lot of digital transformation is happening in Hong Kong. And I think the advantage is also that this year we have already launched our 5G commercial services. So this is going to be a big boost for developing our digitization. And despite all the global challenges we are facing, Hong Kong's fundamentals remain strong, remain very robust, like our economic freedom, our rule of law, our low and simple tax system, and our very convenient geographic location. These are all our existing business advantages that are unchanged. And we are still a very important international financial center in Asia, as Thomas has just mentioned. It's a great capital market, making Hong Kong an ideal place for IPO fundraising. So I guess I'm gonna stop here. If you are interested to understand more about how to set up a business in Hong Kong, you're always welcome to contact me or my colleague Thiago, in addition to the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Brazil and CWCPA. And we look forward to providing you with our one-stop and free of charge services. Thank you very much. And look forward to answering some of your questions as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Jimmy, for your speech. Really good perspectives on the future growth of Hong Kong. And also, it's always like a kind of relief to see familiar brands or products from Brazil in Hong Kong. That definitely shows that it's possible to be successful in overseas market. We got some questions for you, but like I will handle these questions after our speeches in the Q&A session. And now we'd like to move forward on our schedule and like to invite our third speaker of the day, Camille Vera. She's a member of WCPA Brazil Desk and responsible for the marketing and support strategies for Portuguese-speaking clients in the expansion process to Hong Kong and mainland China. Welcome, Camille, and good morning for you.
Hi, Arthur. Thank you for the presentation. Good morning for you too. Well, as he already mentioned, my name is Camille, and I am a business advisor at CW Group. And CW is an accounting and consulting firm based in Hong Kong that helps overseas clients to set up their businesses in Hong Kong and mainland China. We have offices, as Mr. Wong already mentioned, in Colombia, Spain, England, Hong Kong, and China. Right now, we don't have an office in Brazil, but we have the China Chamber, and I am currently in Brazil. So I'm working and enjoying to visit my family, and I really missed our food, so I'm enjoying that too. One of the biggest differentials of CW is that we have experienced professionals that are multilinguals and understands the cultural differences. And let me just, okay. And understand the cultural differences and make the process of setting up a company in a foreign company and in a foreign country more smoothly. Mr. Wong has been working and developing the Latin American market for 15 years. And I am part of the Brazil desk, that is a division created under the Latin department. And I've been living in Hong Kong for 3 years now. And it's been a great experience to work and work at CW and live in Hong Kong. Today, I'm going to talk briefly about market development and branding opportunities through e-commerce in Hong Kong. If you're not convinced yet about coming to Hong Kong, I will talk a bit more about it. But I guess my colleagues already covered very well the topic of how Hong Kong is a great place to come up and set up your online business and have a digital presence here. So I will start telling about e-commerce and the current scenario. Well, even before the pandemic, e-commerce was already the future and a market on the rise. And due to this period that we are living, we can say that the digital world had to have a massive growth. Given the restrictions that were implemented, such as the social distancing, quarantine, travel restrictions, etc., it made the consumer behavior change from buying luxury items and unnecessary goods to buying essential goods. We noticed that people were investing more money and time on health products, online courses, games, and other leisure activities. The pandemic also accelerated the less digitalized part of the economy that required physical interactions, like meetings, events, shopping for groceries, education, the health sector. And today is a great example of this change. We are having this webinar instead of a seminar. And I believe most of these pandemic trends will continue even after the spirit passes, with a few changes, of course. We all miss human contact, but a lot of trends will continue. So why to set up an e-commerce? If you were a brick and mortar shop, you already saw the need of having a digital presence and implemented a digital presence or is in process to do this implementation of going online. And if you are thinking on starting a business right now during this pandemic, I can give you a few reasons why setting up an e-commerce would be the best way to go. First, for the reasons I already mentioned, if you're thinking of setting up a business now, an online business would be the most appropriated for the reasons that I mentioned, social distancing, and you have a bigger reach online, and you amplify your customer reach since you don't restrict yourself on a physical location. You can sell it 24/7 because you don't have a time restriction as well. You will lower your cost of operations to start your business. And another great point is that you have the liberty to choose where you want to run your business from. So you can run your business from Brazil, from Hong Kong, or the Caribbean. The world is your oyster. And that's really great. And why set up in Hong Kong? As I mentioned, as my colleagues mentioned, they already gave a lot of amazing reasons why to set up in Hong Kong. But I will talk briefly about it. Hong Kong is an international business hub and is considered one of the freest economies in the world. They have a great technology infrastructure and a very attractive tax system. It is easy to set up a business and they don't have a lot of compliances. I will give a quick tour on how to set up your business in Hong Kong, just so you don't have to take just my word for it. There are various types of companies in Hong Kong, and I will show you the most relevant and common way, that is the private limited company. Around 90% of the companies open are this type of company. First, this type of business is interesting because you can have a different business scope from the mother company, and you have a limited liability. That means that you can, that gives you protection against the risk of the business. There is no amount, minimal required capital amount, and which means that you can set up your business with $1 Hong Kong. And the company will need to appoint one director and one shareholder, but they can be the same person and they don't need to reside in Hong Kong. You also don't need a physical space in Hong Kong. You just need a registered address, which makes easier to have an e-commerce and to minimize costs. All of this gives incentive to the companies to have an e-commerce because it's easier. The main corporate tax in Hong Kong is the profit tax, and it is calculated as 16.5%. However, on the first 2 millions of Hong Kong dollars, this rate is fixed at 8.25%. Hong Kong doesn't impose any corporate tax on offshore businesses as long as you're operating your business from outside Hong Kong. As you can see here, there are no taxes on dividends, interest, and VAT, and the royalties paid to non-residents are at 4.95%. As I mentioned, there's not a lot of compliances for a company in Hong Kong. It basically needs to be done, what it needs to be done is the accounting, taxes, and business license renewal. All of the compliance must be done in a year basis, and it takes more or less 9 days to open the company. After that, you will need to check if the type of business require any special license and proceed with the bank account opening. The bank account opening is the step that takes more time because of some issues that the banks had with money laundering. So now they ask for a lot of supporting documents, and the directors and main shareholders of the company have to go to Hong Kong for an interview. In our experience at CW, this process of opening a corporate bank account might take from 1 to 3 months. But this wait is worth it because you can operate your account in 10 different currencies, you have low interest in loans, and you will be able to rely on a sound banking system, which makes it easier to have a worldwide infrastructure. That would be basically it for setting up a business in Hong Kong. As you can see, compared to Brazil and many other countries, setting up in Hong Kong is a cakewalk. Besides being easy to maintain and set up your company, you can benefit from a big in-house market because if you decide to open an e-commerce targeting Hong Kong has more than 7 million people to work with, and Hong Kong is also considered as a gateway to China and its vast market. It is a great gateway to the world because Hong Kong is one of the busiest and most efficient international container ports, and it is possible to communicate in English and do business doing business in Hong Kong doesn't have language as a barrier. So I want to give one very successful example of a Hong Kong-based company. That is Hong Kong HKTV Mall. They are the biggest online retail platform in Hong Kong. They actually started with plans to become a TV station, and after a few failed attempts, they decided to start on online shopping platforms to sell fashion, beauty and health, electronics, lifestyle, foods and beverage, sports, household. You can find basically everything there. And they saw an unexpected growth this year, and the average monthly order volume increased 130% from January to April compared with the same period of last year. And they plan to convert new users into regular customers by improving its operations and shorten delivery time. And they also plan to implement its own electronic payment service and lifestyle to content and retain the customers. Now, I will give a few tips on branding that I have prepared. It's important to develop your brand identity from the logo to the presentation of your of your online platform. Your history, your brand DNA is extremely important. Your core values, they have to be clear. What image that you want to pass on to your clients, and very important, don't forget to do a research on your target public, search for their preferences and shopping behavior, and take this into consideration and when you are designing your brand. Checking out who are your main competitors and what are they up to is also very important when you are strategizing and planning your business. You will need a heavy social media presence and you can focus more on a social media that is more attractive to your audience. Social medias like Instagram have features that helps you sell your product, but like for example, linking your post to the platform and the client can make the purchase. So it's an easier way to connect your client to your website or the platform you use to sell your product. Another step would be the creation of content. You should be active on social media and keep generating content, ideally on a daily basis, in order to stay relevant to your customers and to engage and interact with them. This will make it easier to track how they are reacting and to know better, to discover what they want, if they are responding well to what you're presenting. You should invest in high quality product photos and content, online campaign, and selling through influencers. That is a given. Developing an app is also a great selling strategy. And it is important to have an easy and safe payment method. Give your client payment options. Nowadays, digital wallets like Google Pay, PayPal, Apple Pay, and Samsung Pay are widely implemented by e-commerce. My last tip would be regarding the delivery and customer services. You should implement delivery options that are trackable, simple, and preferably free. Align that with easy return and exchange policies. And always have a good customer service that is straightforward, attentive, and most of all, available. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to reach a company and have no return. So it is important to pay attention to what your client is saying and give a feedback. Well, that's it for today. I hope you like my presentation. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach me after the presentation or through WeChat, LinkedIn, or the email that is showing now on your screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Camille, for the speech. I guess there are for sure a lot of information and tips for the types of e-commerce, type of company, the tax system, and ways to establish a company in Hong Kong. Plus a really good briefing on the e-commerce opportunities. Now we will move to our Q&A session. We got a couple of questions. Initially, I would like to pass these questions to Jimmy and Camille. I guess we can start with Camille since you just spoke, Camille. We got a question more about the e-commerce. So basically, like, what would be the main opportunities for Brazilian companies in Hong Kong e-commerce? Is there like any specific like segment or food and beverage? And the other question is like two questions actually, is if the company needs to establish a Hong Kong-based like office, to work on e-commerce, or if it could be done in a remote way?
Well, for the first question, sorry, I'm on the second question. I have answered that one first.
Okay.
So for the second question, yes, it is important to have a Hong Kong company or any other company to support your business. I recommend Hong Kong because it's easier to set up in Hong Kong than in Brazil. And it is a very straightforward market, as I mentioned. So I would highly recommend Hong Kong, having a company in Hong Kong to support your e-commerce business. And you can have a global e-commerce business. You don't have to restrict yourself to Hong Kong, but your company can be based in Hong Kong. For the first questions, can you please repeat it again?
It's about like what kind of opportunities does the e-commerce have for Brazilian companies? Would be like since like Jimmy mentioned about Havaianas, but is it more focused on this type of product or food and beverage, or what are the main markets for it?
Honestly, it really depends on what they're planning. You have to research your main target, your main public. For example, if you want to sell Brazilian food in Hong Kong, you have to do a research. Does it have a market for that? There's a lot of Brazilians in Hong Kong. I would buy a lot of Brazilian foods in there. So I believe that is a great niche of market. And also clothing. Hong Kongers are very are great consumers. They buy a lot, especially luxury items. So that is a great market in Hong Kong. And so if you want to design and sell luxury items, I would definitely recommend Hong Kong, and use also Hong Kong as a gateway to China, because Chinese market they are very focused on luxury and consumer of luxury goods as well. So that would be my tips for it.
Okay, perfect. And now a question for you, Jimmy.
If I may maybe supplement a little bit
Okay, sure.
also on the previous question in relation to business opportunities. I think so far this year, of course, because of the challenging economic situation in Hong Kong as well as in many other places, the restrictions in international travel, basically our tourism sector is very, very hard hit. We used to have so many tourists visiting the city that this year, the tourism side is really suffering. So what we have seen in the consumer market in Hong Kong so far this year is we continue to see products like daily necessities, food and beverages, even some lifestyle products, clothing, things like that. Even bookstores are still doing quite well. So these ordinary consumer products, if you can provide very high quality at very competitive prices, I think there's still a good market in Hong Kong right now. And back to Kamali's comment on the luxury market, yes, before with the tourism being in place, this is certainly doing very well. But right now, because of the restrictions in travel, we are not really having too many tourists coming over to buy our luxury goods. So this particular segment right now is suffering. But hopefully when the pandemic is more under control globally, hopefully next year, especially when some effective vaccines can be made widely available, and then we can resume international travel, I'm sure this part will pick up again, rebound quite quickly. But right now it's challenging. So what I'm suggesting is at this moment, if you are doing necessities products, food or non-food, Hong Kong is still a pretty attractive market, even under this challenging times, because we have seen supermarkets, certain department stores focusing the mid-level market. They are still doing a lot of business, and including some of our clients.
Okay, great. Thanks for adding up. And now we have 2 more questions for you, Jimmy. I guess one, it could also include Tiago, was a question on the YouTube live stream, asking is it okay to set up a company in Hong Kong if I want to raise money with China mainland investors or sell to China mainland consumers?
I can get this one. It's a very frequent and common question, because we all know the financial powerhouse that Asia is now in the world. So every time, every day, I receive these questions from small startups to big companies, all of them trying to target those Asia funds for fundraising. You may remember that I told about Invest Hong Kong experience and pipeline of completing projects year after year, and this gives from all over the world year after year, and this gives us a very good experience on on what works and what doesn't work in terms of fundraising and other subjects as well. So our experience says that investors, either from Brazil or any other part of the world, they tend to be successful in fundraising activities when they have a local presence in Asia, in Hong Kong specifically. Why that? Because it's once you open your Hong Kong Limited, as Kemily explained, you are a Hong Kong company. Okay, that the founders will be, as you saw, from abroad, from Brazil, or from whatever, but the company will be a Hong Kong-based company, and this will bring much more confidence for the targets of the fundraising, because they will, be able to invest or to share capital with a company that is established in Asia. So this we see as a fundamental step to access the Asian mainland, Hong Kong financial markets. Of course, that it can help in various ways. If you are a small company like a startup, maybe it will be useful to try to find an acceleration program, for example, in Hong Kong. From you can start developing your business there, and after that you open your Hong Kong limited company, and then you go seek for fundraising. Or, for example, as other big players did, they go directly, they build the business because they already have a significant business relationship with Asia, and then after that they access the fundraising market. So summarizing, no matter your size, no matter the sector you were in, the good practice says to us that have a local presence to fundraise in Asia.
Okay, great. Thanks for the insights, Tiago. And I guess for Jimmy now, for the question I mentioned before, the question is, despite of like the historical strength of Hong Kong on the financial service and fintechs, what is, like, in your opinion, the new trending and the new business in Hong Kong for the coming years? I guess e-commerce would be like a one type of answer, but what is your perspective on that?
Well, e-commerce is certainly a major area to keep an eye on, and also to take advantage of. Apart from what I mentioned during the presentation, or the digitization happening at the B2C and B2B levels, I think the topic of ESG is becoming more and more interesting and important. Partly also driven by the pandemic. I think globally people are more concerned about sustainability and environmental protection. And Hong Kong is also trying to play a role in the whole ESG development. And if we look at the consumer market side, local consumers in Hong Kong are becoming more and more conscious about sustainability. They're demanding more sustainable food and non-food products. So if you are a manufacturer or product supplier, you will need to pay more and more attention to this particular area to ensure your products are produced or manufactured in a sustainable way, in order to gain a strong appeal for your customers, and also even financial services, financial institutions like banks pay more attention to this part, and placing a heavier emphasis on sustainability, whether their clients are meeting these environmental protection requirements in order for making releasing a business loan at more competitive interest rates. So it's getting more and more important. And I think as an international financial center, Hong Kong can also play a role in fundraising to support green projects, whether it is a manufacturing project or real estate development project, not only in Hong Kong, but around the world, taking advantage of our fundraising capabilities to raise capital to support these green projects around the world. I think is also another area Hong Kong is moving toward. And of course, the related consultancy services on ESG will become more and more in high demand. So I would say this particular area I see will have a lot of potential in the future.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Jimmy. And we have a last question, I guess. It could be for any speakers, so you guys feel free to answer. It's actually two questions. It goes by like a bit of what we discussed here today. The two questions are like, what is the role of Hong Kong when it comes to the engagement of the Great Bay Area to attract overseas companies and investment? And is all the region, the Great Bay Area, moving toward a common goal?
Well, I can start by saying a few words on it. Of course, the development of the GBA, the Greater Bay Area, is already a national policy of China. So this part of the country is going to be developed into a truly world-class city cluster. Largely driven by innovation and technology, and then other high value adding modern services sectors. So it's a very aggressive and ambitious development plan. and we are very optimistic about this development. And I think in the future, various GBA cities will work in a more coordinated way in terms of attracting foreign investments. So a Brazilian company can consider, for example, setting up their regional headquarters in Hong Kong to handle their finance, central management, or fundraising in Hong Kong. And in certain GBA cities, maybe for some modern advanced manufacturing, taking advantage of a bit lower property cost and labor cost, and also the cluster of manufacturers based there to create synergies. So each GBA city will, according to their own strengths, attract, companies to set up different business functions. So, and welcome to come to us for a more detailed discussion, because this is also very tailored situation depending on the actual needs or the actual situations of a Brazilian company, what they would like to achieve in the GBA. They talking about manufacturing or doing R&D or setting up regional headquarters or developing sales, doing marketing. So different cities can serve different purposes. I'm sure my colleagues will have more insights to share.
I think you covered it pretty well. I would just complement it on a part of the question that they ask. What is the role of the GBA as a whole? So as Jimmy said, each city on the GBA has a role to play, a key role to play. Hong Kong comes of a financial international hub, aviation hub, and of course, technology. It goes together with Shenzhen in the technology part. We have a great development of technology, as we already mentioned, and we have Science Park and Cyberport, and they work together with Shenzhen, that is already a huge reference in technology. Other cities like Macau can come as tourists, and you can go there for your vacation, gamble a little bit. So the idea of the GBA is that you come to one place and you have everything you need to set up your company, from working to leisure. So I think it is a very bold plan, as he said, and it's also the future, and it will be a great model for other great Bay Areas in the world.
Great, perfect. Thank you, Camille and Jimmy. Now I guess we covered all the questions, and we also received a kind message from Bernardo Mendia in our chat. I'll read out loud because I guess it summarizes our discussion here. So he said, congrats for the great seminar. I recommend everyone interested in Southeast Asia to use Hong Kong as a base. It is very convenient to manage operations and do trading. I also want to point out that although small, Hong Kong is a great final market for many products, such as food products and other manufactured products. Good luck, everyone moving. So that was his message. So I guess it summarized much of our efforts here to promote Hong Kong and inform people on how convenient it is to do business there. And I would like to thank everyone that joined us here today in our webinar. Thanks for all the speakers and panelists. So thank you, Thomas Wong. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Camille. Thank you, Thiago. Thank you, Daniel, for the word and speeches. So we will share all the presentation and also today's webinar video by email for everyone. And feel free to reach any of the speakers directly, or feel free to reach us for any further questions or any further information you may need. And once again, thank you very much for the support. Thanks WCPA and Invest Hong Kong for this long-term partnership. And now we come to the end of our webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.